The former External Affairs Minister sent a strong message to people at home over political allegiance. He expressed concern over political divisions in India even as multi-party delegation travels abroad to highlight the country's united stand against terrorism. Posting on X, Khurshid wrote, "When on mission against terrorism to carry India's message to the world, it's distressing that people at home are calculating political allegiances. Is it so difficult to be patriotic? Is it so difficult to be patriotic?" I mean to say, imagine Salman Khurshid had to say that, the former Foreign Affairs Minister. And I think by saying that, he has made a moot point that if we are united abroad, we can't be divided at home. Let me play out the bite of Salman Khurshid.
Overall, the reactions and responses have been very good overall. Of course, we are meeting several political parties here. Many of them are supporting the government, but they are separate political parties. And each political party has a particular point of reference or a particular nuance that may vary. But there is total agreement on the issue on which we've come here, which is to oppose terrorism that has been hurting us so grievously for such a long time. And on that, there is complete unanimity, and we are very, very encouraged by that response. People keep saying, "What are you doing in a delegation where there are people from the BJP? What are you doing there?" Now, what are we doing here? We are doing here is what is needed for the country. No matter which party you're from, today what is needed is a single voice to speak in favor of the nation, and that's what we are doing here.
And on this, I am joined by Advocate Nikhil Jain, political analyst, and Xavier Rodriguez, founder and editor-in-chief, Goa Chronicle. Let me straight away ask Nikhil Jain, is it so difficult to be patriotic?
Absolutely not. It's very easy to be patriotic, like our MPs abroad are showing, regardless of their political allegiance. They are saying what the line of the Indian government is. And, Mr. Salman Khurshid, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Asaduddin Owaisi, people who are very vocal critics of the government, people who have vociferously opposed the abrogation of Article 370 and the manner in which it was done, people who have, opposed the blatant politicization of the 2016 surgical strikes, people who have kept their voice about how the previous governments acted on national security better, better than the previous government, are today going abroad and telling the world that this is a strong Indian government and we are not going to listen to, we are not going to cede to any terror acts by either state actors or non-state actors. That being said, what are we seeing? Back home, we are seeing BJP leaders and BJP and the entire BJP ecosystem, using this to politicize and take pot shots at the opposition and tell the Congress, look, your Shashi Tharoor is saying something that you did not say. Shashi Tharoor is exposing you. Salman Khurshid is exposing you. They are telling the world that your party is wrong. Now, that is not something that should be done. They should be clear and understand that when an all-party delegation goes abroad, regardless of whatever party the MP belongs to, they are going to say what the Indian government tells them to say, and as they must. But the BJP is using it to politicize, and I think that is what Mr. Khurshid is trying to say, that why are people trying to look at political allegiances when you have an all-party delegation going on foreign soil and representing the Indian government's view, right? But there's nothing stopping the BJP from just doing that, and I feel it's rather unfortunate for the country that we are seeing this sort of politics on issues of foreign policy.
Your comments, it's too difficult to be patriotic?
Well, I don't think it's difficult to be patriotic. Many people in India are patriots, and many people in India work and are strong for the country. Unfortunately, politics is something that I've always believed is always going to be about tu me, my word against his word. But the larger aspect of the entire thing is, at the end of the day, the country. So while the Congress will want to do whatever it's doing as far as trying to get brownie points in the entire situation, while the BJP might also want to gain brownie points as far as the situation is concerned, the truth of the matter and the heartening aspect of the entire thing is that the members of parliament that are abroad, that are taking the India story ahead, are actually working cohesively together as members of parliaments representing the country of India, and that is heartening. What happens from a political landscape as far as India is concerned That the BJP and Congress are going to go after each other is expected by even a common man on the road. They know that BJP and Congress are going to fight because that's what politicians do. They don't expect anything better from them. But what they do expect is that when they're representing the country internationally, they stand together, and that's what all of them are doing. Now, I might understand that Congress has a few issues with Shashi Tharoor. They might now start having a few issues with Salman Khurshid as well. But that's Congress. You expect that. Congress is known to be whining. BJP is also known to be doing its own set of, political upmanship. But the country, by and large, is sending out a very huge message to the rest of the world that collectively the government has come together. The different members of the parliament representing different political parties are actually representing India internationally, and that's the good part of the entire thing.
Nikhil, there is a difference in context of Congress leaders attacking Shashi Tharoor and Salman Khurshid, and Shashi Tharoor and Khurshid making a point by tweeting that let these differences not affect our work. Tharoor gave a bite abroad and tweeted, and in this case Salman has done that. So both of them are not prone to attacking Congress party on Twitter. But this time both of them have made their displeasure very clear if you look at their tweet lines. And I think here lies the difference. I think they definitely feel very irritated.
Karthik, sadly, the entire circumstances of this all-party delegation has been made that, like, I would never want to be in that all-party delegation. The reason being that before even that all-party delegation went, you had politics being played on the Congress party saying that we had given 4 names and the BJP hasn't ceded to it, and then BJP making allegations against the Congress party about why did you name Dr. Tharoor. Now, whether Dr. Tharoor should be named or should not be named in a delegation like that, I think that is secondary. What is primary is that once you ask a political party for the representatives that they want to send in an all-party delegation, you should cede to the names that they're sending. But the BJP chose to do politics on that, and the Congress party equally responded. I'm not saying that the Congress was sitting and playing duck. And then when you go and, when these leaders start making statements that are sort of in conflict with what the opposition is saying, that sort of align with the BJP's political narrative, but nonetheless are the Indian government's view, then again the BJP used it to play politics and say your leaders are saying something against you. Now, when these leaders took an extra mile, like for instance, Dr. Tharoor's statement, and we have discussed that on your show before, that Dr. Tharoor's statement about no surgical strikes having happened before 2014. Now, that was blatantly wrong, and I really do not understand why did Dr. Tharoor say that. Of course, later on he issued a clarification saying, no, I was talking with reference to response to a terror strike, but then again, I don't understand why did he have to bring up Kargil into it, because Kargil had nothing to do with the terror strike. Nonetheless, the point is Dr. Tharoor went a mile ahead, took the Indian government line, and there were leaders, not the Congress party's official line, but there were leaders in the Congress who expressed their displeasure, who started calling Shashi Tharoor names and this and that. And then Dr. Tharoor started responding back. I think the entire thing is very unfortunate from the BJP side of things and from the Congress side of things. I think Congress leaders and opposition leaders should have kept mum while this delegation was out and have questioned these leaders when they would have returned and said, listen, you said this, why did you say this? That is not the factual position. Similarly, the BJP should not have politicized all of this. Your leaders are saying this, that, your leaders are saying that. The BJP very well understands that this is a diplomatic delegation and they're bound and obligated to say what the Indian government's view is, which very often will fall in conflict with their opposition party's view is. But yet again, the BJP, not heeding to this nuance, is playing politics. And I think the whole thing is, to use a very Gen Z word or a millennial word, the whole thing is very toxic. I don't understand why does it have to be that.
So Savio, it's a question of whether egg came first or chicken. Kisne shuru kiya? I don't really want to get into it, but I think what is really required in the domestic discourse is strategic restraint.
Karthike, Nikhil is obviously a very erudite speaker, and he takes a very, very strong stand as far as the Congress is concerned. But troll armies of political parties are not representatives of the parties. But in the Congress attack on Tharoor, there were leaders that belonged to the Congress party who are senior leaders that took a pot shot at Tharoor. There's a huge difference. Can you name any of the BJP top level leaders that said anything and played politics around what Tharoor is a part of the system, of the entourage, or the representatives that have gone to the rest of the world, or as Salman Khurshid or any of those leaders. I don't think any senior BJP leader of merit has actually said that. Yes, there have been trolls on social media that have got a point of view, and that's fine. The job of a troll is to behave like a troll. But unfortunately, with the Congress, it has been Congress leaders, some leaders who are respectable leaders, who have questioned Shashi Tharoor's intent, and that is where the conflict or the issues arise. Is at the end of the day, whether you're BJP or Congress, what is happening is a representation of India, not a representation of BJP and Congress. The Indian government is BJP, come Congress, come NCP, come many other political parties that form the parliament.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would add to it by saying that political parties should have a long view of the history. You know, Operation Sindhu, current politics is a blip in a nation's timeline. You know, and there are times when it is required that you step aside, maybe take a little political beating, because the larger goal is more important than the current political requirement. And because when we say larger goals, the nation comes first. And I think if it requires strategic restraint, yes, strategic restraint has to be there. If it requires some sort of a silence, then silence has to be there. If it requires some sort of a vocal support for the country, it has to come first, because nation comes first. Thank you both of you for joining me. So this was on point 2, but on point 3, we will look at how Pakistan's Kharif sowing season could feel the impact of India suspending the Indus Water Treaty, because the decision has been taken by us. Pakistan is staring at a bleak Kharif sowing season this summer, with a major dip in the live storage at its two key dams, Mangla on River Jhelum and Tarbela on Indus. The sudden dip in Chenab River inflows is due to the regulation of water flow by India in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack. The situation may further aggravate this month during early Kharif sowing. Latest estimate by Pakistan Indus River System Authority shows the country is already facing an overall shortage of 21% in water flow and around 50% in live storage at the two key dams, which play a crucial role in providing water for irrigation in Punjab and Sindh province of Pakistan, and it also helps them generate hydro power. Let me straight away go across to Ambassador Veena Sikri. She joins me. Madam, will now Pakistan start feeling the pinch? You know, it's not over in context of non-kinetic action. It's there.
Well, I think, first of all, you to be very clear on one point, that I can see all the facts and figures that you're giving, but certainly Pakistan would have been aware of it themselves, and they have treated their attempts at terrorism, killing innocent tourists, in a very light manner, as though killing of lives doesn't matter to them. But now, when they're facing a shortfall of a water supply, which they should have anticipated, since they've always been a water-stressed country, they should have been more forthcoming in the negotiations on this subject. I want to put this whole debate on the Indus Waters Treaty in a certain context. First of all, as we know from the very beginning, this has been a highly unequal treaty. Highly unequal, where Pakistan got 80% of the water supply of this whole group of Indus water rivers, and India got just about 20% or a little more. But even after getting 20%, we find that Pakistan, in fact, was a greater beneficiary by default, because over these decades that have passed by, Indian governments rarely took any action to implement their portion of the treaty and to utilize fully the rivers that were in the eastern rivers, which are in our quota. And very often in response to negotiations, in response to objections raised by Pakistan, many projects were just left. Take the Burla Barrage, for example. You know, there is one example, the Tulbul navigation project, which just left, nothing was done on it. So, in fact, the very people of Jammu and Kashmir, who should have benefited greatly from the Indus Waters Treaty, were not benefiting. And one would have thought that Pakistan, out of concern for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, would have had a greater sense of responsibility and reasonableness, but they didn't do that. So over the years, for the last 15 years at least, I have seen, there's been a great demand to look at the Indus Waters Treaty as a point for negotiation with Pakistan, as a point of pressure on Pakistan for the terrorist attacks that they do. And I think finally the government under Prime Minister Modi, after considering this very seriously, has taken the decision to put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. I think it was a correct decision, and in fact the reaction that we have from Pakistan proves every day the correctness of this decision.
Ambassador Sikri, do you think that Pakistan can be adventurous in taking kinetic action in context of IWT? Is it a possibility?
Well, they have made these threats, as you know, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's statement at the conference, at the global conference. But we also know that Operation Sindoor is still in force. It has not ended. There is no ceasefire. There is no Yudh Viram. It's only been paused. स्थगित किया गया है. So I think in this context that Operation Sindoor is still underway. We are still at a very high degree of preparedness. I think Pakistan would be well advised to think many times before they are, thinking of any kind of kinetic action. And I think that India is very well aware of the threats that the Pakistan Prime Minister has said, and very well aware of the kind of statements that the newly created Field Marshal has been making. And I think that we are very conscious of that. But we are also conscious of the great, what our people have suffered at the hands of terrorism. We also know that the world has forgotten after 9/11, because there's been no major global attack, although India has suffered many attacks in 2016, 2019 and others, that, people have forgotten. And the purpose of India sending these delegations, multi-party delegations, with all parties, all communities fully represented, and they have been very effective and very positive. They received a very positive response all over the world, because I think we have done correctly in sending this delegation to remind the world about the effects of terrorism, and to remind the world that India now is practicing a new normal. We're not going to be quiet. We're not going to keep quiet when our people are killed, our people are harmed by terrorist attacks. You think terrorist attack is not a kinetic action? Of course it's a kinetic action. It is an action directly aimed at innocent people. And it tries to, and Pakistan then tries to claim deniability, or saying we don't know anything about it. So India's action on 7th of May, hitting at the terrorist sites in Pakistan, has been very effective in reminding the world that we know where the terrorist support comes from, in reminding the world that every major terrorist attack anywhere in the world has links always directly back to Pakistan.
So basically,
and I think that this action, if Pakistan is calling for kinetic action, terrorism is an equally kinetic and dangerous action, and there will be a strong response to it every time it comes about.
And very quickly, before Madam I close in my show, a minute, do you think that the Operation Sindoor has been really able to redefine deterrence in context to Pakistan, unlike Balakot and Pulwama?
Well, Balakot and Pulwama were very specific. They were aimed, of course, yes, Balakot was aimed at their training ground for terrorists. But this time, the combination of what happened on May 7th and on May 10th has proven quite clearly the new normal, because when we took the action on May 7th and hit the terrorist infrastructure and terrorist headquarters, we conveyed to Pakistan that this is our response for the terrorist attack. And we are prepared to let it be at that. But okay. Pakistan did not stop at that. They immediately launched, multiple attacks on civilian targets in India, drones and shelling and missiles, and trying to hit even gurdwaras, the Golden Temple, and mosques and schools, and even aiming at Delhi.
Correct.
So I think in response to all of that, we took the most effective action on May 10th to hit at the Air Force bases. So you can't think that you can launch the attacks on India without getting hit at the very source of these attacks are launched, from where they are launched, which are the Air Force bases. And the result of that very direct and very effective attack led Pakistan to run and seek a ceasefire, which we have accepted as a pause, not as a Yudh Viram.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sikri, for joining me. So this was all I had on Point tonight. I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and good night.
A deep dive into what matters to you the most. Angles you won't find anywhere else. news that impacts your life.
Light, camera, and action. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite snack because News 9 is here with your weekend dose